Alright, so I watched an anime recently called... Yeah, that's a long name. I'm just gonna say the English name. The saint's power is omnipotent, and I'm not even gonna try to say the Japanese one. So I heartily recommend this anime. It's a romance one, something I very much dislike, so that should be saying something. However, this is me talking about the first season. Opinion on the second season is a bit different. The story is focused on an office lady who gets transported to another world to save it from peril, but she just so happens to be summoned with someone else, who hogs all the spotlight while she's off to fend for herself, and she just so happens to pick up what was her interest originally: chemistry, botany, and pharmaceuticals. I have to say, looking back at it, it sure as hell reminds me of Shield Hero. If you're unfamiliar, it's about 4 heroes summoned to another world. The focus is on the one who gets scorned and soon enough framed for a crime. So he's stuck with no help in an unfamiliar place and has to do whatever he can to make ends meet. I wonder if one is inspired by the other, but with a lot less mean-spirited stuff. Hell, if any, really. Here it's very peaceful, I guess. The only conflict is with monsters, and the initial misunderstanding which is resolved in a great, somewhat clumsy and simultaneously elegant way. The focus instead of revenge and power fantasy is on a romance between the lead and the knight. Well, and some power fantasy, yeah, it's still there. However, I think it detracted from the story a little bit, but whatever. So I would praise the lead, who is kind of a perfect nice girl. I really struggle to think of some sort of flaw with her, something that would make her more relatable, and I struggle to come up with anything. So if you're looking for realism, you're not gonna really find it. If you don't care about it, then you've got this cutesy girly story with some minor comedy. And as I've later found out, it was written by a woman. It definitely felt like it. I just can't imagine a man writing a story like this. As far as characters go, I would like to praise everyone, because they are all likable and great in their own ways. Again, there are barely any flaws. It's a perfect representation of people with few exceptions, but maybe I'm just too much of a sourpuss. But I'm a little fed up with everyone being mean, angry, and just horrible and completely unlikable. Actually, that reminds me, Shield Hero is perfectly opposite of that. The main team is very friendly and blah blah blah, but most everyone else is just complete assholes and unlikable and incapable to do... just unable to do anything on their own. Not the case here. The story, however, is a little basic and honestly as predictable as it gets. Of course they like each other, of course she's going to get special powers, of course everything is going to be okay, of course no problems occur and everyone lives happily ever after. There are no twists, there are no surprises. Because of it, I'd almost call it a slice of life anime. It's got this somewhat chill, relaxed atmosphere, which is very much in line with those. Of course that's not what the genre actually is, but the point is that this show achieves the exact same kind of feel for me. If I'm upset, if I'm anxious or angry, or just anything negative, I watch this, I would definitely be a lot more at peace afterwards. Which is what should be the greatest takeaway here. You can't expect any masterpiece story here. You won't get an amazing, shocking romance. You don't get an incredible, imaginative use of powers or some creative spells or magic. None of it is here. It's all extremely simple, but what it does well, and I praise it for that. So this is about the first season, and I've watched now the second one just a couple of days ago. I have to say, it's definitely worse. So while it is still more of the same, it is still a fairly peaceful, heartwarming story. There's definitely a pacing issue as well as a direction one. Specifically in episode 9. So a bit of a spoiler, but I don't think it matters much. In this episode, Sei and crew are in the mines, fighting against the last miasma, and the ending involves fighting a giant monster. The fight starts and ends in maybe a minute, at best, and it plays out if it's a grade schooler wrote it. "Oh no, monster is here! Let's talk for a bit about how scary it is. Oh, it doesn't matter, however, we need to fight it anyway. Okay, let's fight. Ha! Hoo! Ha! This is hard, but let's just have the superpower girl use her superpowers. Yeah, it's all over." Yeah, that's how it plays out. I wish I was exaggerating. And the rest of the episode is not much better. It felt like a joke. Downright insulting pacing. I believe that it's done so terribly that you can just watch episode 8 and then skip to 10 right away. Just skip 9 entirely because just how badly it is done. I wonder if this is actually because of this episode is the most like isekai of all. Since it's about using powers, fighting monsters, yada yada yada. It's very much unlike the rest of this story. So people working on this went out of their way to make it terrible. A way to mock other stories. And I'd almost praise that motivation. Because there's so much trash isekai out there. and a lot of it is so bloody awful. Anyway, season 2 is weaker. I honestly don't think I would recommend it, but if you loved season 1, then season 2 is there. And it's not that bad for the most part, but I believe what the story could have just ended in 1, leaving things up in the air a bit.